What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Occupy Fantasy Live YouTube stream. This time for some PGA DFS picks and lineup advice. FanDuel, DraftKings for the Valero Texas Open. I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy, doing a little solo stream action for you guys. I'll be here till 10:30 p.m. Eastern, answering any questions that you do have. Again, giving picks, talking about betting market analysis, what our Occupy model is saying, what our PGA expert is saying, and then answering your questions live. You can hop in the chat on the right side of the YouTube screen, ask your questions at any time until 10:30 p.m. Eastern, and I will answer them here for you live. And again, so what we'll do here, we'll start with the betting market analysis, what the betting markets are telling us for the Valero Texas Open. We'll dive into some projected ownership and lineup construction advice, and then give some more picks based on our model and our PGA daily plug. So let me get this tweeted out really quickly. Give me a sec here. And all right, we are tweeted officially live. So Valero Texas Open. Cory Connors on the cover of the Daily Plug. Reminder that the Daily Plug is written by Niramata, a now fully cemented top 75 PGA DFS player. If you haven't already, make sure you go check out our interview with him from Monday. It's posted here on YouTube. It's also posted in your favorite podcast apps. Nero won 100K on Sunday in the WGC Match Play event on DraftKings. And we talked about a lot of PGA DFS strategy, talked about I talked about DFS strategy in general. Great episode, about 45 minutes long. If you get the time to listen to it, definitely go check it out. So the Valero Texas Open, surprisingly, down in Texas is where this event will be played. Some windy conditions, be sure to monitor. But as we scroll down, so the Daily Plug's posted on Tuesday afternoon, sometimes Wednesday mornings, depending. I think Niramata was a little hungover this week and posted a little late. So it was up Wednesday morning. And on Wednesday afternoons, Nero comes in. He tracks the betting markets over at Pinnacle Sports, one of the sharpest sports books in the entire world, to see who the sharp bettors and the sharp sports books are backing in each individual event. And by looking at the odds to win market, how likely each golfer is to win the event, and then seeing how those odds move throughout the week, we're able to get a really good sense of who the sharp bettors are on. And this Pinnacle Steam Move list that is posted every Wednesday in the Daily Plug is incredibly predictive. And a lot of times, players in winning GPP lineups come from this list. And again, this part's above the paywall. It's free every single week. So even if you don't pay to be a member at OccupyFantasy.com and you just read the Pinnacle Moves section every Wednesday afternoon, you'll be in better shape than if you didn't. So an interesting thing is that over the last 3 weeks, Pinnacle's actually been pricing up every single golfer in the field. Before, earlier this year, all of last year, they would put odds on 50, 60, 70 golfers. But now for this particular event and the last couple of events, literally every single golfer has had odds to win, which is great in our eyes because it allows sharp bettors to bet every single golfer. Before, if a guy was, 70th or 80th in the field, but there were no odds to win, he still might be a sharp play for DFS, but we wouldn't know that sharp bettors are on him just because they couldn't bet him at Pinnacle. But now, with every single golfer available to be bet, now we get notified if there is a move for every single golfer in the field, and fingers crossed that continues to be the case. So, despite a billion golfers being listed in the odds to win market, just 5 golfers saw their odds move pretty significantly this week. Brendan Grace, 40%. JB Holmes, 29%. And again, these percents are the reduction in price. So Brendan Grace saw a 40% reduction in his odds to win, which is a good thing. It means he's 40% more likely to win, at least according to the betting markets. Harry Higgs, 18% move. Ricky Fowler, 12%. Andrew Putnam, 11%. And the Ricky Fowler group, whoever they are out there, please, I hope you're listening to this. Maybe it's Ricky Fowler's family. But literally every single week, Ricky Fowler's on this list. I'm surprised that syndicate is not bankrupt yet, betting Ricky Fowler every single week. Maybe they know something. Maybe they see something. Maybe they're just using their stimulus money, whatever it is. But Fowler's on this list every single week, so take that with a grain of salt. But these other guys, Grace, Holmes, Higgs, Putnam, Definitely guys you want to have in your player pool if you're making multiple lineups. If you're making single lineups, definitely guys to consider. And Grace is the best one to see of this group. 40% move is massive in a huge field event like this. And the best part about it is if we scroll down, and we're going beyond the paywall here, he's the top pick by Niramata this week in the Daily Plug. Yeah, the guy who won 100K on Sunday, top 75 overall PGA DFS player. One of his favorite plays this week is Brandon Grace, and the sharp bettors are behind it as well. So Brandon Grace, one of my heaviest exposed golfers this week, somebody you should consider putting into your lineup when you first start creating one. So we see here. Let's scroll back up. The other part of the Wednesday betting update is the Pinnacle misprice list. And again, we talk about this every week when we talk about PGA DFS, in the sense that DK salaries, FanDuel salaries, they are stagnant. They do not move. And DFS is a game of information, incomplete information, but information that you're going to gather all the way up until lock. So if a golfer's price changes in the betting markets, in a perfect world, their DK and FD prices will move along with it. But it doesn't, right? It stays the same the whole time. So by looking at golfers who are mispriced based on their odds to win, then we get value golfers for our FanDuel and DraftKings lineups. So let's scroll down here. Tons of guys on the mispriced list, and there's one reason for this. Is because Dustin Johnson withdrew when when these odds were first out. Dustin Johnson, as you know, one of the top golfers in the world, was the favorite for this event. So as a result, when he was removed from the field, that gave a lot of people bumps up because naturally their odds to win increase, and there's a natural increase all the way down the board. So we see a long list of guys this week who are on this mispriced list. But again, it's still nice to see them. And if you look, a lot of these guys are either listed in the Daily Plug, they're high in the occupied model, they're going to be highly owned according to projected ownership. So all these guys are great options for your DFS lineups. Honestly, again, even if you don't read Nero's picks, which you should, I mean, you're dumb not to read them. The guy's an incredible PGA DFS player. Even if you just came in every Wednesday and looked at this list, you'd have a great player pool to work from. Let's see. So great question here from Matthew. What's up, man? Out of 10 lineups on FanDuel, how much exposure of Grace do you recommend? All right, so let's go over to the Occupy model for 1 second. So again, our PGA Occupy model ranks every golfer, FanDuel, DraftKings, with projected ownership. Line moves from our partner sportsbook, Play Sugar House. So if we search for Brandon Grace, projected ownership of 8% on FanDuel, 9% on DraftKings, which is right in line with what we expected early in the week. And now it comes down to your risk tolerance. If you're making 10 lineups, and again, Niramata talked about this in the podcast this week too. Two different approaches that professional PGA DFS players use. One is, and probably this would be the approach I would use if I was making 10 or less lineups like you, Matthew. If you're making 10 or less lineups, go heavy on 2 to 4 golfers. Put them in 50, 60, 70% of your lineups. And if they go off or get in the top 20, I mean, all of your lineups have a chance to benefit now. If I was making 150 lineups, I probably would go with the second approach, which is playing 6 to 8 guys, 25 to 30%. So to answer your question, Matthew, if I was playing 10 lineups on FanDuel, I would take Brandon Grace. He's he fits the model. Nice low projected ownership. Betting markets like him. I know some European betting experts like him. Niramata likes him. He's in the plug. He would be a guy with 10 lineups. I would put him in 50, 60% of my lineups. Now that's risky, but again, you're only playing 10 lineups. You need to get some sort of leverage on the field, and that's the best way that professional PGA DFS players do that. So again, if you have any sort of risk tolerance, put them in 50 to 60%. If you're not that, if you can't handle that much risk, 50 to 60% exposure on a guy who's 9% owned, I understand. Drop it down to 20 to 30%. But to answer your question, if it was me, I would do 50 to 60%. Let's see. Brandon's in the chat said Grace won't be high up on the model. Yeah, so Grace, if we look here, and again, our model just, let me see here. So Grace 45, he's like middle of the pack, top half, top third, I guess, which isn't too bad. Now you got to remember, our model is purely analytically driven. No context. It's all numbers based. What Niramata does a great job of in the plug, and what obviously the sharp sports bettors and sports syndicates know, they take context and information from the ground, from the player, from their caddies, and that goes beyond the numbers. Our model can't capture that. It's an analytical model. So when I see something that Niramata likes, and I see something that sharp bettors like, and our model doesn't hate them by any means, 45 OF index, that's not too bad. I'm all on it, right? If that'll overpower the analytics sometimes. All right, so let me get a drink of water here. What time is it? It's 10:11. We're here for 19 more minutes. 10:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're watching this now and you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Just click the subscribe button right below the video. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe and we'll let you know whenever we do these live streams, whenever we upload any new videos. And we do have that brand new join button right below the video. That gets you access to our Discord channel where you can chat with me, Niramata, staff, and other members, and also get you access to the rare Occupy Fantasy emotes that you can use in these live streams in the chat. So click the join button, $2.99 a month. Helps support us, helps us during these live streams. All right, let's look at projected ownership for a second here since we have the Occupy model up. And we'll look at DraftKings. Who are the highest projected owned golfers this week? And what are our thoughts on them? So Cory Connors, one of the highest projected owned golfers, 21%. No surprise. He's on the cover of our daily plug. We tweeted about it. I know our co-founder Moose already bet him on Monday when he was configuring the model for this week. Cory Connors fits this course perfectly, and at 16-1 odds at Play Sugar House, a great bet to win this tournament. So Cory Connors, if you're looking for a bet, looking to play a high-owned golfer in your lineup, Connors fits the bill. Charlie Hoffman, a name that is definitely a math-type play, hasn't had the best recent form, but he's 20% owned. And then the guys you'll know, Finau and Spieth. And this is an interesting event. We got the Masters next week. Not every big name is playing in this event this week. So if we sort by DraftKings salary, we don't see all the typical names at the top. Bryson, Rory, Justin Thomas, all those guys. DJ obviously withdrew. Finau and Spieth are the highest salary golfers, right? Finau 11K, Spieth 10.7. And as a result, and in fact, I was building my 150, an hour ago for this slate, and the builder kept giving me a bunch of Finau, Spieth, Scheffler, Hideki, Answer, all these guys, just because it was tough to use all the salary. When in fact, this week is probably another week. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. There's another week where it's okay to leave salary on the table, right? If you like your 6 golfers, you don't have to try to upgrade to fit someone else. There's a wide open event, not a top heavy field at all. The betting markets, Niramata, our model, doesn't like all these top guys as much as they should as far as their salary is concerned. So if you want to leave 500, 1,000 even, to get in those line move guys, to get in the plug plays, to get in the top model plays, totally fine. So as a result, not looking to jam in guys like Spieth and Finau, even though they're still good plays this week, they're just not overwhelmingly good plays that you have to get in over some of these other guys. So keep that in mind. All right, let's go back to the projected ownership, the sort there. Let's see here. Who did I want to talk about that was here? Yeah, so Higgs was a guy that is in that line move section, right? Higgs, not a guy that rarely comes up in the plug, in the betting markets. We're not really ever talking about Harry Higgs, right? But again, sub 15% projected ownership, so not too highly owned. Someone out there sharp likes him. And he's a guy that you can easily get leverage on, right? Maybe not play him as much as Grace, but at 13%, you just got to put Harry Higgs in a quarter of your lineups, 25%. You get leverage. You have sharp leverage behind you. So that's the way I would play it. And let me go back to the plug really quick. Let me show you something. These guys, Grace, Holmes, Higgs, Fowler, putting them. Let's go back here. So we saw Grace 9%, Higgs 13% projected. Let's see about JB Holmes. If you like high risk, you'll love this one. JB Holmes, projected for 0% ownership on FanDuel. Probably not 0, like 1%. DraftKings 1%. Here's a guy you don't have to get too crazy, right? This would be ridiculous to play Holmes in 50% of your lineups. But just playing JB Holmes in 1 or 2 lineups, 10%, maybe 20% if you're crazy. Me personally, I'm in the 10 to 15% range. Here's a guy that sharp bettors are on that literally no one is playing in DFS. Probably fair. Sharp bettors must know something. Because look, if I didn't know about that, I wouldn't be playing JB Holmes. Look at his OF index. Yeah, that's not a typo. 0.4. Cory Connors has an OF index 94 points higher. JB Holmes is literally at the bottom, 0.4. So yeah, the numbers don't like him because of his recent form over the last year. But someone out there likes JB Holmes that has money enough to move it at the sharpest sportsbook in the world. And to me, that's worth more than anything. Because if we don't, we may never know what that reason is. In fact, we won't know what that reason is. But that type of information is so key in PGA DFS. So for me, I have to play some Holmes if he's going to be 1% projected ownership. The field's off him because of his recent form, but sharp bettors like him for something, for some reason. We're playing a game of incomplete information, right? We're playing a game where we have to choose from 150 golfers. If we can find legit reasons to play low-owned golfers, I mean, look at the top GPP lineups every single week. Every single time there's a PGA DFS event, there's 2 golfers less than 5% owned in the winning lineup. Every time, like clockwork. Go check it out. Go look at all the results. We talk about the Occupy Fantasy lineup construction. 2 golfers, 15% or higher. You want to get 2 good plays in there. 2 mid-owned golfers that people are overlooking. And then 2 sub-5% owned golfers that no one's playing because these guys always come out of nowhere every single week. Now, granted, it's difficult to identify them, but if we have signs like the JB Holmes line movement, that's an easy indication to us. Play this 5% or less owned guy. And Holmes fits that mix. So again, these sub 5% owned guys, you're not going to find alignment everywhere because if you did, they'd be high owned, right? If he was high in the model, if all these bettors were on him, if all these tout sites were playing him, he wouldn't be 1% owned. He wouldn't be 0% owned on FanDuel. So again, have faith. If you can find us, and a lot of people ask us this in golf, especially in our Discord channel, during these live streams on Twitter. They say, "Hey, I like this guy. What do you think?" And the guy's 2 to 10% owned. And to me, my answer is always, especially if the model doesn't like him or whatever, it's like, listen, the numbers don't like him. But if you can find a legitimate reason to play a golfer that's low owned, more power to you. Go do it. Because we have to find some sort of reason. And to me, that's like my, I don't know, it's like my mission statement in DFS. Just give me one reason to play a bad play. MMA, when I'm playing that every single week and I'm just jamming in the worst possible plays, these 10% owned fighters in MMA, give me one reason. Oh, he's facing a fighter that hasn't fought in over a year. That's enough for me. That's enough potential to outproduce his 10% projected ownership. Oh, the money line moved 30 cents for this fighter, yet he's going to be 14% owned. That's enough reason for me, right? We're playing a game where people cannot predict the future. So we're trying to leverage that, and especially in a game like golf that's so crazy. If you have a guy that's less than 10% owned and you find a reason to like him, the line moves. Your favorite bettor likes him. You read something about him. You listened to a press conference and his quotes are great about his game. I encourage you to play those types of guys because you're going to need 2 low-owned golfers every single high-risk lineup you make. You're playing those 100-player leagues. You're playing the big GPPs. You're playing satellites. You're going to need 1 to 2 of those guys. So if you can find a reason to play him, I say go for it. All right, what time we got here? 10:19. 11 minutes left in the show. Again, if you're just joining and you haven't already, I know it's, 12 hours, 10 hours until lock. Maybe later in the weekend. If you haven't had a chance to check out our interview with Niramata, our PGA DFS writer, after his $100,000 victory on Sunday, just great stuff. Talks about a lot of DFS strategy. Talks about the leverage stuff I was hitting on earlier. He goes into detail about that. It's about a 45-minute discussion, so carve some time out. Go listen to it. It's in your favorite podcast app. Just search Occupy Fantasy. It's also here on YouTube if you just go to our videos. All right, so we talked about projected ownership. We talked about some of the line moves. Let's see what else we could talk about here. Let's talk about some of my favorite sub 5% owned plays. So I'm going to use the filter here on DraftKings in the model, and we're going to literally drop it down to 5% ownership, right? I tell you to find your own reasons. Hell, I'll tell you some guys that I like that I'm using in my 150 this week. I've been using more of that flat allocation strategy, and Niramata hit on the plug. I've been playing 8 to 12 guys, 20 to 30% ownership, most of them on the lower owned side. I've had great success. 3 top 0.1% finishes this year, 2 top 10s in the big GPP on DraftKings. Haven't got the elusive victory yet, but I'm liking the player pool this week. And so we're looking at sub 5% owned players. Here's the guys I'm looking at. Aaron Wise, the model likes, obviously 67.4. He in a recent event he was up there. So Aaron Wise is a guy. If you're looking for the math reasons, he fits the bill. Charles Howe is a guy that's interesting. And let me see here. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna look up one thing on my ends. How? Yeah. So I like to scour the European betting scene to see who people are on, and because we get a different approach there than we do from just reading DFS content. And some European bettors are on how they're tuned into the more contextual reasons to play golfers. And also Niramata has a little excerpt on how in the plug. So Hal's certainly a guy despite his low OF index. And that he's the type of guy that he's a context play, not a math play. Sebastian Munoz, he's on the Pinnacle mispriced list. A little undervalued according there. Denny McCarthy, I think he's on the mispriced list. Let me take a look here. Could be wrong on this one. So there's Munoz. There's Howe. He's also on the mispriced list. I don't think McCarthy's on this list. He's not. All right, so maybe McCarthy doesn't fit the bill exactly. Jim Furyk. I thought this was 2 years ago for a second because Furyk ranks relatively high in the model. For you old school Occupy Fantasy members, we did have a glitch at some point. There's always a player that breaks the model, every type of sport. Furyk was a guy that would just circumvent all the model rules and end up near the top during like 2019. We were finally able to fix the Jim Furyk mishaps. But he does rank highly this week. And he's a guy that, 5% ownership, not going to go out and win the tournament, but at his price tag, 6,800, could top 20, be enough to get you a winning lineup, especially in smaller contests. Bhatia is an interesting guy. Here's a guy, we actually talked about him in the Discord. A couple members were discussing him. He's the type of guy, and we do like playing these guys in really large contests, large field contests. He's the guy, and let me see if I can find the other one that fit the bill here. Austin Eckroat. Literally never heard this guy's name until today. However, I know this gives you a lot of confidence in listening to me tell you why to play a guy like Austin Eckroat. But these are the type of guys that have higher long-term ceilings than their current price indicate. Bhatia, young guy, high long-term ceiling. Eckroat just came out of Oklahoma State, which I was just told about 20 minutes ago is what Alabama is to college football producing prospects. Oklahoma State is that to producing golf prospects. Eckroat just graduated, number 1 player in the country, I think. And just making his second start. Got an exemption. He finished 12th in his only other start. I think it was late last year. But Eckroat, one of those higher long-term ceiling guys than his current price indicates. And again, he could easily go out there and miss the cut. Same with Bhatia. But if you're playing the super large field GPPs, Eckroat and Bhatia fit the bill of guys we like to target as higher long-term ceilings. Price definitely not there yet, but definitely a wide range of outcomes because they're so young. So Timothy, what's up, man? Says, who you got winning other than Cory Connors? Good question. We do like betting Cory Connors this week. Let's see here. I'm going to sort by, let me get the ownership filter off here. Let's sort by odds to win. We got Finau, Spieth, Scheffler, Connors, Hideki, Answer, Palmer. Let's see here. I think I would go with, and this is crazy to me because I haven't played Spieth pretty much all year. The numbers are never there, but he's been seemingly in the top 2, contending on Sunday every single freaking tournament this year. I do like Spieth to win it this week if it's not Connors. The other guy I think that's, again, and if you're riding the Hideki train, I know it's a not a fun time, but I like Hideki this week as well at 16-1. So those would be my 3 bets: Connors, Spieth, and Hideki. What time we got here? 10:25. 5 minutes left. Let's get these final questions in. All right. So we talked about the line moves. We talked about who the model likes. We talked about some low-owned guys. I talked about some strategies for how often to play a golfer in your lineup. Let's see. The Masters is next week, April 8th. So lots of big contests. I would use this week as a tune-up. Try to work on some of your process, some of your lineup building skills, and go grab satellite tickets. Tons of contests out there. I think it's the Mega Eagle over on FanDuel. They're giving away tickets and satellites. Go play those satellites this week. DraftKings, they have the $10 millionaire next week. $10 for a chance at $1 million. So go try to win tickets for that. Got a little bit of a higher bankroll. You can aim for the $100 millionaire tickets. And if you're in the baller bankroll tier, they do have a bunch of these out there. You can take a shot for the $4,000 entry millie. So 3 different millies next week in golf. $10 with like a bajillion people. $100, much more reasonable. And then the 4444, 4444, yeah, 4 fours. The $4,000 millie, which is just a few hundred people. Just like ridiculously bad payouts. I think 40% of the prizes go to first place. But again, rare chance at $1 million. One of the better chances at $1 million. Play a bunch of satellites this week. Do what you can to try to pick up tickets for next week. Work on your craft. Work on your lineup building skills this week. In an event that I think is a really, really good high-risk week this week. So you should be able to rack up some tickets following some of the strategies we talked about in this show, some of the strategies and picks that Niramata lays out in the Daily Plug. I think that'll about do it. If you're not already, make sure you're a member of OccupyFantasy.com. Get access to the Daily Plug that I keep talking about, access to this model every single week for golf. Also get access to all of our other sports. MLB starts tomorrow. Check out, I'm going to pull it up here now, actually, while we're here. If we have no more questions. Our Daily Plug will be written every main slate with 5 or more games for MLB. Regular season starts tomorrow. Go read our free strategy guide. It's here on screen. Lays out how to play MLB DFS. It's been a while. If you need a refresher, go check it out. Stacking metrics that are important. Go read it. Quick read. Get you refreshed for tomorrow. And the model will be up early tomorrow morning. The MLB lineup builder will be out tomorrow morning. I'm super excited about that. Our guy Jack over at DFS Magic, who powers our lineup builder, he's been working hard on it. We just recorded a tutorial for it. That'll be up. The builder, you can build up to 150 lineups, has our optimal lineup criteria, how to build lineups. And then most importantly for me, I know there's a PGA stream, but I'm just getting into it real quick. Super excited about how precise you can get with the stacking in our MLB lineup builder. All the other lineup builders that I've used out there don't give you control over the batting order, but our lineup builder does. And I'm super excited for it, and that'll be ready tomorrow morning for opening day. I know a lot of you have tickets out there. You'll be able to use the builder tomorrow. OccupyFantasy.com/lineup builder is where you can learn more. Playing guys that need to win to get a Masters invite. Is there anyone that might be looking ahead to the Masters? Yeah, I mean, imagine a lot of the top-owned guys, like Finau, Spieth, those types of guys are. But, they're still playing this week. And I've always found it to be a little bit of a gray area, trying to pinpoint guys who are looking ahead, guys who are trying. Because, I mean, we don't know what's in the mindset of these players, right? If someone needs to win or finish in a certain position to get an invite next week, maybe they go out there and play really well, or maybe the pressure's too high and they fold. Right? It's very tough to tell. If you're trying to get into a player's mentality or a golfer's mentality, it's very, very tough. So it's not something that we take into account too much. You're better off, again, if that was something that was meaningful, we'll see it in the line moves. So I would lean towards those more than anything. So, all right, that'll do it. Again, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click subscribe below. Get notified whenever we release a video here on YouTube or go live to break down a slate before it starts. Give us a thumbs up. We always appreciate that. Let us know you like this video. And if you want to join our Discord channel, get access to the super cool Occupy Fantasy emotes during the live streams, click the join button right below this video. $2.99 a month helps support us to continue to do these types of YouTube videos. We always appreciate that. So I'm Brian. You can follow me on Twitter at BrianJesterFF. You can follow us on Twitter at Occupy Fantasy. Really appreciate everyone listening, tuning in to this episode. And good luck in your golf lineups this week. And we'll talk to you soon.